I wasn't well. I was still having this feeling of a disconnect.
You don't die when your heart stops beating. You die when your heartbeats have no meaning.
Because I thought that's what we do. You just dust your soldiers off and you just keep on, trudging through whatever that discomfort is now. So push down what I was feeling in order to really just push through.
I had pushed down so much that I was stuck and that I couldn't create anymore.
Strength isn't always the pushing down to push through. It's also knowing, as I was just saying, like the ability, like when it is time to take that step, to just pause, to just be present in the moment.
Greetings, and welcome to my Whispers of Wellness show with all things well-being. And I am very delighted and honored to have my expert for the month on, and she is the one and only Nickia Jackson. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Charlene. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, I am super excited because you were with me on When the Moment Chooses You a couple years ago. I think you were one of my first guests, and you were absolutely amazing and shared your journey there. So I decided to create this podcast because of my Wellness Whisper business that I have now, and I'm really targeting well-being. I want people to prioritize their well-being because when I was in the system, I saw so much and so many of us that absolutely do not take care of ourselves. So I was like, let me create a space just for these conversations. And so I am so excited. I think that was one of the first things when I was doing my podcast, I saw in one of your titles, and I was like, oh my God, she's talking about well-being. She's talking about wellness. So welcome to the show. So tell us who you are.
Thank you. Thanks for the intro. So Nickia Jackson, registered nurse. I've been a nurse and been in the healthcare system for 25 plus years. You get past a certain point, you just say plus. So I've been,
yes.
I've been there a long time, worked in a variety of areas when I was clinical, started out in critical care. So I did ICU, PACU, later transitioned into more of the safety space because I wanted to. And seeing all the things happening on the clinical side, my thought at the time was like, I want to be able to make some change. So got into more of the performance improvement and patient safety realm, which was my niche for a long time. And then, that infamous 2020 happened, COVID. We all were experiencing a variety of, challenges and changes during that. I myself was definitely not immune to it. Found myself back taking care of critically ill patients, which was not an environment that I saw. That was not on my bingo card or what was on my bucket list of things that I saw for myself that I wanted to do. But as with many of us, what I did was, I pushed down all of the feelings of angst and concern and worry, the things that I was feeling, and really focus on everyone else. So push down what I was feeling in order to really just push through. So, because I thought that's what we do. You just dust your soldiers off and you just keep on, trudging through whatever that discomfort is. But what I found in coming through that and even coming out of it was that I wasn't well. I wasn't kind of returning just back to what was, I thought, baseline for me. I was still having this feeling of feeling a disconnect. And I realized through that of me trying to be that anchor for everyone else, because not only am I a nurse, but also a wife and a mother. So the idea of putting everyone else's needs before myself has kind of been embedded and conditioned in me in a way. Yeah. But what I did was in taking kind of a step back, which was challenging because at the time it was not even something I even thought of doing. As what do you mean, like taking time for yourself? That just seems so foreign because even as nurses, it's almost like embedded and kind of conditioned in us in that, you have to, like, everyone else's patient first, everyone else's needs before your own. So me needing to take a step back felt like a weakness for me in a sense. Like, what is it that I, like there's something must be wrong with me because everyone else seems to be like, they're just making it through and everyone else seems to be fine. So it must be me. But in taking that step back and allowing myself the ability to pause and what it really means to be honest and just authentic with myself in that moment, I realized that, hey, like it's not selfish to take care of yourself. I ended up enrolling in some courses. I ended up getting certified as a health coach. Not at the time because I was looking for a career change, but it was still more of I was searching for this thing that I felt like was missing. So
Wait, you
yeah,
okay, Nakia, you just unpacked so much
I
right there in that
know.
introduction. So there was something that you said
Mm,
that really, really
mm,
resonated. Push down to push through.
mm.
I mean, that is so profound because I believe, I mean, what I think the latest data says that 65% of nurses are burnt out,
Yeah.
basically. So I think we are doing this and I think it's more than that, but we're pushing down to push through. That's exactly what I was doing as well. I
Yeah.
felt myself restless
Mm,
and not happy and not fulfilled anymore, but I kept pushing it down, kept pushing it down, and I kept pushing it down. And so when I finally made the decision to retire, and then I left and retired and everything, I was cool. I was like, okay, good, I'm free. Then I recognized that I had pushed down so much that I was stuck
mm,
and that I
mm.
couldn't create
Yeah.
anymore, that I couldn't do the things that was in my heart to do. So this is so, so good that you're talking about right now. So thank you for really pulling that out. So just because you just brought that beautiful point
Mm,
out, if there's someone listening right now that they have been pushing down, pushing down, pushing down, just because they got to push through it, because that's the expectation, what would you say to that person right now?
yeah. I would say just in knowing that you're not alone, because I think for me at the time, it felt odd and I felt like I was on an island because for so long, that feeling that you have to, like, this is just what you're supposed to do, this is life. And there's something wrong with me. There's something where I'm broken. Yeah, I'm broken. There's something wrong with me because I'm not able to get over and past that. I would first of all just say, just know that you're not alone, for one. And I think just taking, we are so conditioned in that, again, that we're just supposed to just kind of keep pushing, 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 pushing. And that it's okay to pause. It's okay to stop. It's okay to collect just a moment for yourself to really be able to think through. Because what we don't realize is that in all that pushing, when we're just trying to like, it's like we're in this boat and we're like battling, we're trying to push ourselves upstream as
Right.
opposed to just allowing us to just be able to just be in a flow, where we can just kind of
Yeah.
flow with the current, kind of flowing
Right.
downstream
Right.
and not that constant pushing up against. So taking the ability to pause, which is difficult for many of us because we are in such of this go, go, go on this hamster wheel society that we're feeling like the pressure. But it's like there's such power in the pause, that
Yes.
ability to just allow yourself that time to just reset because it also is allowing your nervous system the time to reset too. So there are things that are happening in you, physiologically, that you need in order for you to really be able to think clearly. Because for me, that
Absolutely.
piece is so crucial because I find like when I'm getting in my where I'm kind of in my head, I'm trying to push against upstream. I'm trying to paddle upstream and I'm struggling is I realize that in those moments for me, I have to just stop. I have to stop. I have to recollect. Meditation is a big thing for me. So I take some time to just meditate and however that looks. But I would just say those two things is that you're not alone, and taking the opportunity for yourself to really to pause, and seeking
Yeah.
some comfort from other folks and people who are supportive, supportive in a way. And we don't want people that are adding more to the the sense of like,
No.
but that's why I'm cautious of seeking help and support, but seeking support that is that's going to be uplifting and positive for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. So you took a step back,
Mm.
and then what happened after that?
So yeah, so in taking that step back, which by no means was easy, because like I said, I'd come from this conditioning where that was a weakness for me. I considered that at the time to be a weakness when you have to take a step back. But what I realized in taking that step back is how strength looks different. Strength isn't always the pushing down to push through. It's also knowing, as I was just saying, like the ability, like when it is time to take that step, to just pause, to just be present in the moment, allowing yourself to really process and to to think things through a little bit more clearly, where you're not just going off on like fumes for many of us, but allowing yourself the
Right.
opportunity to really pause in that moment. So for me, taking that setback, there was so much that I learned, I think, about myself in that process and that time. So I really value that the ability to take that step back and learning to look at, like I said, learning to look at strength differently. So in doing that, so I did end up going back to at the time I went back to the hospital healthcare like environment, and coming back
Hmm.
in was it was initially it was like a shock because you know you have this time you're kind of recollecting, but it was seeing everyone in such just this stress and this burnout, and it was like everyone was really seeking like support and answers. Initially it was overwhelming because of all of I'm like such a deep feeler, so
Yeah.
feeling everyone else's like the emotions of what that environment was very challenging for me initially at the time. So I had to make sure that I was taking care of myself even in the midst of coming back. But lessons I had really gotten from people was like this need of what self-care is it's not a selfish thing. Like it's essential, and it really should be foundational to the work that we are doing in this environment. So with me spending a lot more time, I think coming back and talking to nurses and talking to staff and hearing from them of what some of the needs are, I think really fueled this sense of me of wanting to be more helpful. So I ended up launching my own business, doing self-care coaching, which again, it just felt like this is like the path. Like this is already the work that I'm doing. I'm already counseling and supporting nurses in a way. So but really bringing to the forefront of how essential this is, not just for nurses, but for organizations to see like you don't really have a workforce if your workforce is not well. And
Right.
it's not a nice to have. It's foundational to the growth and even in the performance. I mean, it is a business strategy as well too. So I think
Absolutely.
really tagging into those pieces too.
Well, that is pretty profound. So you started your business,
Mhm.
and so you've been doing that since then.
Yes. So I was doing it, but kind of more on a like a as a side thing of, I was doing some
Okay.
talks, doing some stuff initially. And then I'll just say the job that I was in at the time, that was I would say it was I'll just be honest, it was a toxic work environment that I was working in 2020. So when I came back to the organization, I ended up going into a different position. And it was more so not that I was running to this, but I felt I can look back now and say I was really running from something else. But it was a nice
Mm.
landing space, I think, for me, and allowed me the opportunity to really kind of tap into what I think my true calling was, even coming back into the environment. But there was some shifts that were happening within the organization, and ultimately, I would have been going back to the job that I had left. And I just said,
Okay.
I'm using this as an opportunity to say, it's time for me to really to step into what my true calling is. So the beginning of this year is when I left completely the healthcare organization and launched full time into my own business and coaching and working with both nurses, healthcare professionals, and organizations on bringing this thing that we call well-being, like really putting it into the forefront. As I said, not as a nice to have, but as essential to your own growth and development as an organization and an individual.
Well, that is like pretty spectacular. I mean, we are in the same flow in such a powerful way because that's really what I saw. Like I felt like there were so many limitations
Mm,
on my ability to help that, but my heart would not let me stop desiring this thing that I want. I think one of my coach, who my coach, she calls it cadexing. You're cadexing, you're lusting for something,
mm.
and it really is not lust, but it's love because it's your heart speaking to you, telling you there's something that you're supposed to be doing that's drawing you to the love of
Absolutely.
people. And so yeah, that's just so awesome. So tell me a little bit about your business and what people can get from your business.
Yes. So my business is mainly focused on, it initially started with just nurses of working with, because obviously I'm biased because I'm a nurse. So, my first heart goes to nurses and understanding from that perspective of what it means to have experienced burnout. So really of working with nurses, but all healthcare professionals and getting them to understand the importance of self care and the importance of prioritizing their well being, because you can't be good to anyone until you are good to yourself first, and that is not
That's right.
selfish. So, doing a lot of work, I do one on one coaching, probably less and less, but starting to doing more in terms of like group coaching, but also working with organizations, whether it's healthcare organizations and also universities with nursing students, of getting that. My ideal goal is for that to be a foundational piece of their organizational structure. Because as I said, well being is not just a nice to have. And I think for many organizations, they treat it kind of as a side thing of like, okay, yeah, we can do that well being thing. But realizing that it's essential, it's foundational to your organization. And part of that is the culture. It's the culture that you are creating. Because I don't care, and speaking from the safety side and being a part of, the things that don't always go right in healthcare organizations, a lot of what I see is the root of a lot of these issues and problems. A lot is the culture. It's the culture that
Yeah,
is, you can put all the safety things in place, but your culture will eat that away all the time if things are not
absolutely.
embedded in place. And a lot of it, again, it has to be like you have to have a culture that doesn't just give like we're talking it out the side of our face like, yeah, it's important for you to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, but nurses are saying they don't get the essential of like lunch breaks. Like, I'm not taking my lunch. I don't feel
Right.
like I have the opportunity to step away. So really working with organizations, but also with nurses as well too, to be be in a position where they can self advocate for themselves and know that it's not just it's a nice thing to have. Because I will say, and I mean, I'm sure you'll probably agree too, Charlene, even just thinking from my own nursing experience, like there's a lot of the undoing that, has been embedded in us. Like, I can think when
Yes.
I worked in the ICU, like I could get to the end of a 12-hour shift sometimes and be like, man, I didn't go to the bathroom, and
Yep.
then like, and so hearing that those things are still happening. And then you talk to a colleague and they're like, yeah, well, I didn't go to the bathroom and I didn't get lunch. So then it becomes like you're trying to outdo each other and not taking care of the basic needs. Because in all of that, what you're saying is like, I didn't take care of me. Like, I didn't, clearly, if I didn't go to the bathroom, that means I didn't hydrate. Like, I'm not taking care of my essential needs in order for me to be the best that I can for these patients that I'm caring for. So, and understanding how all of that comes into play. Like, if you don't have well people, you have unwell people who are then trying to take care and make people well. So, how does all of that
Exactly.
figure in the same space?
Well, you said something so powerful, and it's the unlearning.
Mm,
It's the unlearning because there's a quote that I think his name is Paul Coelho, and he said maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming, but it's about unbecoming everything that's not like you, so that you can become who you were destined to be. So that's so true because the unlearning that I had to do,
mm,
not to grind, not to push past exhaustion and things like that was so critical. And I didn't really learn that until I left, to the degree that I could, because then I was able to get quiet and to
mm.
listen and to hear and to see that my body was screaming, hey, I need you to pause. I need you to chill.
Yes,
I
I
need you to take
know.
care of me. You're not getting any younger.
Oh my
And so
gosh.
that's so good. And it's almost like this. And it's like I had this nice loaf of bread and I kept giving out all of the slices,
Mm,
Nakia, till I had no slices
mm,
left.
mm,
And
mm.
when it came time for me to need something, I was empty. And so this is such a profound topic, and just the career choice that you've chosen. I'm excited for what we're doing together, because there's so many people that need what you have,
Yeah.
just to be able to put that at the forefront and not just as a just nice to have is so important. So why don't you tell me a little bit, Nakia, if you have like a story, a
Mm,
burnout story.
mm.
I know you told us about yours, but is there a moment that you can tell us that, really just made you shift everything?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm thinking of a few that come to mind. But I think as it relates to a lot of this work that I am currently doing, and I think even on this journey, because to your point, how you had highlighted that as we were talking about the unlearning piece, like even as I made that transition, was still in this like that mentality of feeling like I have to grind through stuff. Like I feel like I'm feeling like I have to just I got to continue to push. And it's almost like, God in the universe is always like coming back and showing you like, okay, like we keep trying this. You keep coming back to this and just letting you know how much it's not working for you. So I will say, even with so coming out of just to kind of dovetail more on the COVID story and the journey, because it was I mean, I kind of sum it up briefly, but it was a long like process and transition of really stepping into something that I did not see for myself. Like coming into this, I feel that's why I feel like it's so aligned for me and definitely a calling because it was not something at all. I was definitely on the path of being a nurse and felt like my career was going to be, I live and die in a healthcare organization. That's what you do, the trajectory of what your career is. So even stepping outside of that comfort zone for me, it felt so challenging because that's not something that I was at all used to. So that transition from, 9 to 5 and even making the decision initially to launch my own business came with a lot of challenges. And throughout that process, what I learned is even as difficult as it is and as it was and continues to still, there's continues to be, continuing evolving. I've not
Right.
arrived and I'm not at a point where I'm
Right.
just like, hey, I got it all together. I am the self-care expert. I could just tell you it's like, no, it's a continual
Yes.
process and
Yes.
journey of learning and unlearning. But I will say through it is what has been helpful for me, because it certainly has not been without its challenges, is to continue to stay true to my own self and
Mm.
allowing and being authentic to me, regardless of what others may say. Because as you, I'm sure, know, Charlene, too, and being in this space, there's not a lot of us who are really, in this space who are doing it. So when you find others it's like holding on to them to be like, yes, all right, I have a tribe.
Yeah.
It's so good to feel connected to other people in the same space. But I will say, just the journey within, just coming out of that whole burnout piece was challenging, but it also allowed me just the opportunity to really to just tap into what I found was helpful for me. And some of those things was meditation, and I was certainly not a person who believed in meditation. I was one of those like, I don't have time for this. Like, I can't clear my mind. There's so many other thoughts and things that I have going on. Like, there's just no way possible. But realizing that it is a practice, like, it's not a, I tried that one time, it didn't work. That was the thing that I was
Right.
saying to myself, but that it is a practice. So, regardless of how challenging that it may be, it's like me just consistently just coming up and showing up for myself, because realizing that it was really about me. It wasn't about what other people were doing and thinking or feeling, but what was in my control was how I was feeling in the moment. So consistently just showing up for myself was very helpful. I will say, to the point that I'm actually now in a program through Brown University where I'm studying to be a mindfulness facilitator, because it's been so helpful for me in
Awesome.
that sense. But yeah, I think it is just a continual like journey, I think, throughout.
Well, and I think what you have really displayed beautifully is that those personal practices
Mm,
are critical. Like we cannot just continue to keep grinding. You have to
absolutely.
find your thing. Yours happened to be meditation. I practice with heart math, which is a form
Mm,
of meditation, and so you have to find those moments where you can take care of you. And you said something so awesome about compassion, self compassion, because that's really what you're being true to yourself. That's actual self-compassion, but we keep
absolutely.
giving out the compassion to everybody else. And there I remember
Oh
this
my
was in
gosh.
2020
Mm,
2021. I'm sitting on a healing circle, it's virtual,
mm,
and I'm listening to the facilitators. They were talking about self-compassion. Girl, I had to turn my camera off because I just like broke down
mm.
because she was talking about how you've been true to everybody else's voice but your own.
Yeah.
And it just like really hit me because I was like, oh my God, I keep doing, like, I keep saying yes. I keep saying yes because, like, that's what I'm expected to do, to fill
Absolutely.
in the gap, to take
Mhm.
over this, to take over that. And before you know it, you are not true to you. And so that year was when I found that quote, you don't die when your heart stops beating, you die when your heartbeats have no meaning. And
Mm.
so I
Oof.
recognized then that, Charlene, you have not been true to you for a long time. And from this day on, you will be true to yourself and you will say no more than you've ever said it in your life. And I did. I started doing that because that's part of self care, me knowing when to say no, right?
Absolutely. And oh my God, and
Yes.
what you just said there is so, so key. And I want to just touch back on the self-compassion piece again, because I think especially for those of us who are in these professions where, we're caregivers, where we're in service to others, we I think we kind of mix up there the idea of what that means of like caring. Like we think of ourselves almost like as these martyrs in the sense that I have to just
Yeah.
give until there's nothing else to give of me, and not realizing that how depleting that is. And they tell you
Yes.
on, and I love this analogy and I use it all the time, but like when you're on the plane and the cabin loses pressure and those oxygen masks fall down, they tell you,
Right.
put your oxygen mask on first, and then help the
Right.
person next to you. But we are so, again, conditioned to do the opposite. We're trying to, put everybody else's mask on. We're dying, and the results of we're lacking oxygen, but we're still just
Exactly.
trying to continuously push through. So I think for us is that ability to allow ourselves that self-compassion and know that we're not going to get it right all the time. Like
Right.
there're going to be times where just like, oops, I messed up, but not to beat yourself up about it, but allowing
Mm-mm.
yourself that grace to know, like, all right,
Yes.
I learned something from this. Let me, what can I do better, like, next time? And I think practicing some tools, as you were saying, you utilize the heart math. I talked about meditation, also mindfulness is a key piece
Yes.
that has been so essential in allowing me that ability to pause, and finding those strategies that are most helpful. I think for us is also key and crucial.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. Man, it's been so great talking to you. But now I want to see if you have anything to offer our audience.
Yes. So there's oh wow. So there's so much I have coming up. So one of the biggest things that I'm excited about, I am collaborating with Dr. Wendy Mayo, who's from the collaborative cancer care, but also the stress blueprint. And we are working on a first, it's for the nurses in Connecticut, but it will be the CT Nurse Wellness Summit. And we will be offering basically a day long retreat for nurses in the state. So whether it's nurses and also nursing students, but an opportunity to really to pour into those who are always just pouring into others. So under giving
Awesome.
them the opportunity to really have some tools and strategies. So there'll be some conferences. I mean, there'll be some workshops, but also we'll have different vendors and speakers just coming in with also some tools and strategies to really help them
Yeah,
to be the best versions of themselves, both professionally but also personally, because it all intersects. So excited
absolutely.
about really being able to bring that forward. It's our first, but it's the one of many because I'm already just projecting that out
Yes.
into the universe, but an opportunity, yes, to really pour into our nurses who are doing so much. And then I am available, as I said, I do a lot of coaching for not just nurses, but also healthcare professionals, any high achieving women, and doing work with organizations on really how to incorporate self care into whether it's into your own personal life or how do you actually work on bringing this change into your culture so it doesn't become just a nice to have, but you are actually having the foundations of what it means to really build a strong organization and a strong workforce
Yeah.
that feels supported in a way. So I can certainly share my you can reach to me on my website, which is Nickia um, Jackson.com, and all of my information will be on there as well too. And I'm sure we'll share some of that
Okay.
in the link.
Yes, I'll make sure that I put that down in the description as well. Well, it has been a delight to talk to you. I'm so
Oh,
glad that you came by to tell us about what you're doing. And I'm so proud of you, and I'm excited about the work that you're doing. And hey, hopefully that'll spread across
Absolutely.
the
I'm like, I
United
know that,
States and world.
we are in, two different coasts, but the idea is us bringing this together because I feel like
Yeah,
it's so much better when we don't work in silos, when we have this sense of
exactly.
like community. I think that is what brings all of this to light more. And again, just like the support, because we all need each other, and we are not
Absolutely.
just meant to be here to just be by ourselves, but community is also extremely important. So I'm all about
Well,
us
that
building
is
a community.
wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm going to just leave it to you for this last piece. And
Mm,
really, the last piece is you kind of shared about meditation and
mm.
other things. Is there anything that you would like to share with the audience, whether it's nurses, healthcare leaders, whatever, that they can do a personal practice that would really help them um, at all?
Yes. Yes. I will say, which I touched upon this a little bit, but just dovetailing on the mindfulness piece, I think for many of us, we think of mindfulness and even with meditation as this, you have to be sitting cross legged in like lotus position, floating on top of a mountain somewhere with all of your thoughts emptied out. But the reality is that's not what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is really, it's about paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So it's understanding that your thoughts are going to come because we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts as humans. So there's no way to stop all of them. So it's like paying attention to those thoughts as they kind of come in and flow, not to stop it, but noticing it. And what that does is as you're noticing some of the thoughts, even throughout the day, it's just, again, it's like it's a level of just of awareness, which brings you into the present moment. So instead of us trying to ruminate on, oh my God, I should have did this on the past, or trying to predict the future, which a lot of our thoughts are on. The one thing that is real is the present moment. So bringing you back to present moment. And that can happen in anything that you're doing. It can happen as you're driving in your car. It could happen as you are eating, just being present with the moment, being present as you are eating, as you are folding laundry, as you're washing dishes. So it's about bringing it, the practice to real life, because it's not just always just having to sit in silence, but how can you bring this into everyday life? So I would say certainly trying to find ways of just incorporating mindfulness into everyday life has been extremely helpful and valuable for me, and allowing me to get out of that, kind of hamster wheel way of thinking, and allowing
Yes.
me to just pause in moments. So taking just a few moments, because it doesn't take much, that time to pause and just be. We forget that we're human beings, not human doings. So
Exactly. Well, that is so beautiful because that's like tangible, it's practical. I can do it while I'm washing dishes and
mhm.
washing my hands and doing all of the things. So, thank you so much for that wisdom. And thank you so much for being on the Whispers of Wellness, our All Things Wellbeing show. So, I will put your information down in the comments. You guys reach out to her because she is the bomb. And you
Okay.
want to make sure that your organization is also being equipped with those tools that they need to really help everybody to take care of ourselves too, right? Because we're going to be patients one day, and I want
Absolutely.
those nurses to, you know, they're going to the bathroom. Hey, have you gone to the bathroom? You know what I'm saying?
Let's
We
just
a
start
patient.
there. I know. Let's just start
Yeah,
there.
the
Are you doing
patient
the
should
dishes?
not. Yeah, because a patient will, I think the patients, if we don't get our act together, they're going to start asking us and requiring us, hey, did you go to the bathroom yet? So
I
that they can
know.
get the best care that they deserve. But
Absolutely. Absolutely.
anyway, all jokes aside, it is not really a joke, but
It's
but
real
I
life.
so
Yes.
appreciate you for taking the time to come on our show because I know you could have been so many other places, but thank you for the wisdom. We'll hold on to that wisdom and much blessings and grace and peace unto you
Mm,
as you go throughout your journey. I'm believing that you're gonna eyes have not seen and ears have not heard
mm.
what's gonna happen for you. So I am sending blessings your way and thank you again.
Thank you. I received that, Charlene. I just want you to know I received that. So thank you. Thank you. And
Okay.
back to you too, sis.
Thank you.